Luka Doncic is out at least 1 month, according to ESPN. What does it mean for the Dallas Mavericks in the coming weeks? And what is the real timeline for Luka Doncic missing games? On today's One More Thing of Locked On Mavs.
I'm here because I have to be here.
Dallas is going to get a seat at the table.
That's it. It's me versus the machine. Don't let his whiteness take away from his quickness.
You can rest later. You're young.
I'm in color here.
Wait. One more thing. Yeah, I'm back for a One More Thing. Literally just finished recording a whole episode about 30 minutes ago. But posted it, and everything still applies from that last episode. But now we have an official timeline of 1 month out for Luka Doncic at least. My name is Isaac. I'm one of your co-hosts of the show. You're locked on the Dallas Mavericks. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen. Go listen to Locked On NBA. If you haven't signed up for our subtext or our free newsletter, make sure you do that through the QR code on the bottom of the screen on YouTube. The newsletter's free. It's sent to you once a day. Subtext, literally been sending updates on the Luka injury stuff and all of that through subtext. So make sure you do that. And here we are. It's One More Thing. Like I said, I literally just finished a full episode and was editing it and literally just hit post after audio and all the stuff, and the Shams tweet dropped, and I was like, cool, let me tell my wife I'll be back. We got another one to record real quick. Luka Doncic, according to Shams Charania of ESPN, he's out at least a month. He's going to be reevaluated in a month. And on the show, I literally just finished. Like I said, everything still applies on that, but I went through possible timelines, and our friend of the pod, Jeff Stotts at In Street Clothes on Twitter, great follow. He said on there after the Luka injury on Christmas Day, he said, I'm just going to quote him on Twitter. He said, regarding Luka Doncic, there's a lot of variability in calf strains, as the calf is a muscle complex made up of multiple muscles. The pending MRI will help determine the muscle involved in severity. All signs point to this being a more moderate strain. Average time lost for a grade 2 strain is 15 games, roughly 34 days. Sounds a lot like what Jeff just said. As far as Jeff saying around a month, around 15 games. If you look from now and you look 4 weeks from today, which is Thursday, December 26th, we're right around midnight Central Time. 4 weeks from now, a month from now, is that's the 15th game against OKC. So that's when the plan is, I guess, to be reevaluated around then. And we'll see where he's at from there. If it is 4 weeks and he's back, probably not against that OKC game directly a month from now, then it probably was that grade 2 strain that Jeff is talking about. And it's 4 weeks. A month, it's tough, right? Especially in this NBA season and this the gauntlet in the Western Conference that it is. It's super tough to miss Luka for that long. And I talked about possible timelines on the bigger show. This is a quicker show, around 15 minutes probably today. But 4 weeks from now, a month from now, it's 15 games. If you look at 2 weeks after that, that's the NBA trade deadline. So 6 weeks until the trade deadline. And on the show, I actually predicted a little bit where I said I was the date I'm circling right now is that All-Star break, because All-Star break, he's probably but All-Star break is 8 weeks from now. That would be 26 games missed if he misses all the games up to All-Star break. So if you were in the camp as myself that was looking at that All-Star weekend and being like, man, is he going to miss the next 2 months? You're at least encouraged, right? That it's hey, he's going to be reevaluated in a month. Doesn't say he's going to be back in a month. Doesn't say that, hey, he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks with the goal of being back in a month. Wish it was that. Yes, I do. He's going to be reevaluated in a month. So that reevaluation could mean a lot of things, right? Hey, it needs more time. It could be, hey, he's going to start practicing in a month. It's I don't know what that whole thing looks like, but reevaluated in a month. What we do know from that report from Shams is he's not going to be playing basketball at least for a month. So What's the timeline after that? We can speculate all that we want, but we don't know. But we do know we're probably looking at least the next 15 games without Luka Doncic. And you say, Isaac, well, the Mavericks have done good without him before, right? Yes, if you want to stay positive with that and say, yes, the Mavericks went 6-2 without Luka. They have weathered the storm without him before. Yes, that is the positive side. I would just throw a little caution at it of saying, I think it's a little hard just to be like, hey, we went 6-2 without him. We're perfectly fine. He is the best player on the Dallas Mavericks. He is an MVP candidate. And anytime you lose that type of guy, holding the ship down is holding the fort down is really, really, really difficult to do. And you think about that last stretch of games for the Mavericks. You're looking at Najee Marshall, who stepped up and was averaging over 20 points a game. And it was some of the best offense that he's played in his career. Well, now he's been kind of in a funk. Like he missed all those games for the illness. Then he's been back and his minutes have been kind of weird. Is it conditioning? Is it just how the game flow has been playing out? I don't know what that is, but it's kind of hard to imagine just him like instantly snapping the fingers and averaging over 20 a game right now because of how everything's been for him over the past few weeks. So just to assume the Mavericks, hey, they went 6-2, they're gonna be perfectly fine. They're gonna go 13-2, or they're gonna go 10-5 over the next 15. That's a big assumption, but they have the roster and the personnel to do it, I think. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll talk more about the Mavs moving forward, and if it changes a little bit about trade deadline stuff for them over the next month.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
This podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Our friends at FanDuel, man, they've been our longtime friends for a super long time. If you're like me and you have an NFL team that's not the Cowboys, then FanDuel is the place to go. It's the number one sports book. NFL playoffs are literally around the corner. I'm super excited for these Baltimore Ravens. I think they have a really good shot at making a big run because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up a W. And you know what's fun is betting on players which will score a touchdown or how many points each team will score. It's a lot of fun to do that. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports book partner of the NFL.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right. Let's talk a little bit more about this Mavericks stuff. Once again, Sean saying that Luka's going to be reevaluated in a month, and where the Mavericks go from here. If you look at the Mavericks schedule right now, obviously the Suns are happening on Friday night, back to back, and then you're going to Portland on Saturday. Shout out to the Kings game on Monday. Kings, kind of weird vibes right now. But yeah, I mean, we could sit here and go through the whole schedule here over the next 4 weeks of those 15 games and be like, my favorite thing to do: win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. But they have some tough games in there. I mean, you're playing a really good Grizzlies team. You're playing a Cavs team that's one of the best teams in the league. Obviously, Phoenix just had a big Christmas Day win against Denver. Houston's, been doing great in the Western Conference this year. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with Dallas over the next 4 weeks. And I mentioned this on the podcast before this, the full episode one. Go listen to that. Please don't just like bury that one. Because there's a lot of stuff on there. I talked about the trade deadline approach from there, and just like if Dallas looks at this and they're saying, all right, we're confident in our defense moving forward over this next month, but offensively, they obviously need Kyrie Irving to be vintage Kyrie Irving. I talked a lot about PJ Washington's role, and I think that's the guy you're looking at over these next 4 weeks. But I want to expand on something just a little bit more. Do you look at the opportunity now and you look at the rest of the league and you're like, do I need any more offense via trade over the next month? Do they look at their supporting cast? Do they look at their team? And I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying that they will. But if Dallas went out and made a trade over the next week and they brought in a more offensive oriented guy, I could see the reasoning behind it some. If they're looking at it and saying, hey, Luka's out at least the next month, it could be longer. Maybe they're viewing that internally. Are we confident enough in the committee approach? Because that's how they're going to have to do it. We know all the stats this season as far as how many players in double figures, six players in this amount of games in a row. We've had 8 players in double figures. Like, they've had this committee approach to the offense. But if they're not committed to or confident in that, or if they're looking at it and saying, man, is Najee going to be able to do what he did before? Are we confident in Dinwiddie to put up those points? Or can we just go into any game and say, hey, we're confident that 2 of these guys alongside Kyrie can put up a decent amount of points in a game? If they're not as confident in that, is this where they look at the landscape and instead of looking at just a defensive-minded wing, do they look at it and try to expand that a little bit more and be open a little bit more to maybe a wing that has a little bit more scoring to them? And I threw this out there in the last podcast, but if they're out there looking at the Dorian Finney-Smiths or the Larry Nances of the world, I think I want to say this. I think their focus would still be on those type of guys, especially for the price and the cost and all of that stuff. But would it shock you though if they shifted just a little bit and said, all right, maybe we need a little bit more of Cam Johnson scoring if Luka's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks instead of just the 4? Or I don't know. This is something I'm thinking about. Obviously the tweet just came out and I'm trying to process a little bit more right now of does Dallas shift a little bit into what they're looking for at the trade deadline? Not saying that they're going to go out and, hey, we got to go get Cam Thomas now. Like, I don't think that, but do they try to add a little bit more of a versatile player that gives a little bit more offense instead of just a 3-and-D defensive guy? I don't know. Probably not, but it's just something I'm thinking about and all of that. So there it is. Luka Doncic out at least a month. On the episode right before this, the longer episode, I talked about the history to his left leg and the calf strain and the left heel contusion. Talked about just really the things we do and don't know about this injury and situation, because I think a lot of people right now are trying to do I know the reason why Luka got hurt, and it's because he is this, and this. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. So that's in the category of what we don't know is how he exactly got the injury. So go listen to that episode if you want to hear more about the injury and what it means for the Mavs and Luka's history with it and all that stuff. And we'll keep you updated on, make sure you're subscribed to our subtext because we'll keep all the updates and all the stuff coming right at you. As soon as the news drops, it's texted right to your phone if you're not getting the tweet notifications and all that stuff from the reporters. So there's that. Guys, we'll be back with a post game, myself and Slightly, Friday night. First one, just me and him. Guys, we'll see you then. Peace out. Boom.